For 3 years, my wife refused to let us be a real husband and wife. The reason she was frigid, she said, was a deep-seated phobia of intimacy. Just when I'd resigned myself to a lifetime of celibacy, Clara had a change of heart. She promised that on her birthday, she would finally give herself to me. I waited an entire year, counting down the days. When the day finally came, she stood me up again, just like all the other times. She ghosted me, taking off with her best friend for a last-minute trip abroad. I was gutted. Driving home in a daze, I got into a catastrophic car accident. As I lay dying, my only regret was ever falling in love with Clara Vance. I swore to myself, if there's a next life, I will never love her again. To the outside world, I was living the dream. Everyone envied me for marrying Clara, a brilliant, gorgeous CEO who seemed to have it all. But nobody knew my private hell. I could look at my wife's beauty, but I could never possess it. 3 years of marriage, and she wouldn't let me touch her. She claimed to be asexual, terrified of the physical act of love. I'd been in love with her since middle school, a full years. I couldn't bear the thought of leaving her. Just as I had accepted my fate as a monk, something shifted one night. I made her a bowl of her favorite seafood linguine in the middle of the night. I don't know if she was moved by the gesture or what, but after one bite, she rushed into the kitchen and threw her arms around me from behind. She pressed her cheek against my back, her voice deadly serious. "Ethan," she said, "I've made up my mind. You've loved me for years. I can't be so selfish, letting my own hang-ups about sex, my disgust, my fear keep you locked away in an empty marriage. Ethan, I've decided. On my birthday, I'm going to give myself to you. What do you say?" Her words brought tears to my eyes. I was so happy I couldn't speak. I nodded, my voice thick with emotion. "Okay, whatever you want." I spun her around in my arms, kissing her fiercely until the overwhelming joy finally settled into a quiet, hopeful hum in my chest. After a year of breathless anticipation, Clara's birthday finally arrived. Clara loves grand romantic gestures. I knocked off work early and spent the entire day decorating our downtown Chicago penthouse, turning it into a scene straight out of a movie. I was exhausted but satisfied when it was finally perfect. I lit the candles for the dinner I'd prepared and drove to her office to pick her up, my heart pounding with excitement for the surprise. But when I pushed open the door to her corner office, it was empty. I called her cell. It went straight to voicemail. A knot of dread tightened in my stomach. I tried to reassure myself, telling myself her phone had just died. I searched the entire company building, a growing panic clawing in my throat. Finally, I called her assistant, who delivered the news. Clara had left the country. She was accompanying her best friend, Sarah, on an impromptu trip abroad. It was always Sarah when it came to a choice between me and her best friend. She always chose her best friend. Sarah was the reason she'd stood me up more times than I could count. She had promised me. She had looked me in the eyes and promised that today, on her birthday, she would finally be mine. And here I was. I'd spent a year dreaming, a day decorating, and she was on a plane with her precious Sarah, without so much as a text message. A hollow, barking laugh escaped my lips. All my preparations, all my hope, it was all just a pathetic joke. She had ditched me for her best friend countless times, but no betrayal had ever cut this deep. For the first time, a profound, burning hatred for Sarah took root in my heart. Why? Why did Clara keep doing this to me? And why did Sarah always have to snatch her away at the moments I needed her most? I screamed, a raw, guttural sound torn from my soul. I was laughing and crying, roaring into the downpour that had just started. I couldn't understand it. I truly couldn't understand why they seemed to enjoy torturing me like this, again and again. Heartbroken and numb, I drove home on autopilot. There was a deafening screech of tires, a horrifying crunch of metal. A semi-truck blew through the intersection, slamming into my car and sending it rolling over and over until it landed on its side, a mangled wreck. The car was unrecognizable. So was I? My body was a canvas of blood and broken bones. As my life drained out of me like a fountain, a bitter smile touched my lips. I saw my short, pointless life flash before my eyes. With my last breath, I choked on the regret. I regretted ever loving Clara Vance. I swore, if there's a next life, I will never love her again. Ethan, honey, what's wrong? My eyes flew open. I was lying on the plush sofa in my office. Staring down at me was a pair of enchanting, fox-like eyes. Clara was shaking my arm, her face etched with worry. Ethan, what's happening? You're covered in sweat. Her brow was furrowed. Are you okay? Did you have a nightmare? I ignored her concern, my gaze sweeping across the familiar office. I looked at the desk calendar on a coffee table. July. I was back, reborn into the third year of my marriage to Clara. There were still days until her birthday. A storm of conflicting emotions washed over me. Annoyance, mostly. Why do I have to come back to this point in time? Couldn't it have been back in college? Or at least before we got married? Getting a divorce was going to be a massive headache. And the injustice of it all. I was still a virgin, but my next marriage certificate would label me as divorced. How is that fair? Clara looked at me, a flicker of hurt in her eyes. I pushed her away and stood up from the sofa, straightening my tie. A look of weary annoyance crossed my face. Clara, I set my voice flat. What are you doing here? A wounded expression flashed across Clara's face. Ethan, I missed you. Can't I come see you before my meeting? Before my rebirth, hearing those words from her would have sent me over the moon. I would have pulled her into a tight embrace. But now, looking at her beautiful face only reminded me of the mangled, bloody mess I'd been in my final moments. The countless wounds on my body, my head, my mouth, all pouring blood. I remembered using my last ounce of strength, enduring excruciating pain, to call her one last time. I just wanted to hear her voice. I wanted to ask her if she had ever, even for a moment, loved me. The call went straight to voicemail. In my final moments, as my life ticked down to zero, she was absent, as always. I had died filled with regret, resentment, and a profound sense of injustice. Clara, it's working hours. You shouldn't be in my office. My voice was cold. Go back to your own office. I have work to do. Ignoring the stunned look on her face, I walked over to my desk and started leafing through a stack of documents. Clara bit her lip, then stomped her foot in frustration, the sharp click of her stiletto echoing in the quiet room. She walked right up to me, her defiance radiating off her. She grabbed my arm, her voice softening into a practiced, pouty whine. Ethan, honey, what is wrong with you today? She cooed. You're usually so happy when I come to visit you at the office. My brow furrowed. I shot her a cold, indifferent look. Clara, it's business hours. If you have nothing to do, please leave. She looked genuinely shocked. In our entire relationship, especially at the office, I had always treated her like a queen. Her word was my command. It was always her who spoke to me with this kind of impatient dismissal, never the other way around. This was the first time I had ever been so cold, so impersonal with her at work. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. Her fox-like eyes narrowed, and a flash of anger replaced the hurt. Ethan Hayes, what is wrong with you? Did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed? I'm trying to be nice to you, and you're snapping at me. She jabbed a finger at me. You had better apologize to me right now. You know what happens when I get angry. A bitter laugh almost escaped me. This was the real Clara. The second I stopped bending to her will, she'd resort to threats. It was always the same playbook. She'd disappear for a night, go on a bender at some club, hire a male model to pour her drinks, or pack a bag and go stay with her precious best friend Sarah. In my past life, I would have immediately folded. I'd have groveled, bought her some ridiculously expensive designer gift, and begged for her forgiveness. But now, I didn't even want to be married to her anymore. If she wanted to be angry, let her be angry. What did I care? I didn't even look at her. I just shrugged. Whatever you want. My complete indifference left her speechless. Her face flushed a deep red. She stomped her foot again. Ethan, you're being an asshole. Slam. She yanked the door open and stormed out, slamming it behind her so hard the walls shook. I finally put down the file I was pretending to read. My eyes fell on a framed photo on my desk. It was a picture of Clara and me from our freshman year of college, right after we started dating. We were wearing matching outfits, white t-shirts and jeans. I had my arm wrapped around her at the campus football field. A blissful, happy smile lit up her face, her head resting gently on my shoulder. I was grinning like an idiot, holding her as if I were holding my entire world. We were so sweet back then, so innocent. I met Clara in middle school. She was in the honors class, Class A. I was in Class B. She wasn't just beautiful, she was a brilliant student. Our teachers were always praising her, and over time, her name got stuck in my head. We officially met one summer morning on a staircase near our classrooms. I was heading up and she was coming down, clutching her stomach, her face pale with pain. I stopped and, mustering all my courage, asked, "Hey, are you sick? Do you need help?" She stammered for a moment, her face turning beet red. It's that time. I knew instantly what she meant, and my own face flushed crimson. I don't know what possessed me, but I ended up running to the convenience store to buy her pads and a hot chamomile tea. The only reason I knew what to do was because I'd seen my dad do the same for my mom whenever she got her period. It was something I just absorbed over the years. After that, we became friends, but it was just a casual say hello in the hallway kind of friendship. I don't know how or when it happened, but Clara slowly took over my heart. To get closer to her, I could bury myself in my studies. I worked my ass off and managed to get into the same high school as her. Not just the same school, but the same class. I was still too shy, nursing my secret crush from afar. Even in our senior year, when I managed to pull some strings to become her deskmate for the second semester, I couldn't find the courage to confess my feelings. It wasn't until our freshman year of college that I finally made a move. I heard a rumor that some popular rich kid from another class was planning to ask her out. That lit a fire under me. On Valentine's Day morning, I got to her first, my heart pounding, and blurted out how I felt. To my utter shock, she smiled and said, "Yes." Later, after we'd started dating, I asked her about it. She confessed that she'd started to like me back in our sophomore year of high school. She'd even written me 2 anonymous love letters in English during our junior year, but I dismissed them as pranks and thrown them away. They say the greatest happiness in life is when the person you like happens to like you back. Those 4 years in college were the best of my life. We were inseparable, and the Clara from back then was so in love with me. I was always her priority. Then we graduated and we got married. After the wedding, Clara changed. It was like a switch had been flipped. She was no longer the warm, affectionate girl I'd fallen in love with, and she adamantly, cruelly refused to let me be her husband in any real sense of the word. I don't know when it started, but at some point, the no person in her heart switched from me to Sarah. Even if I was sick at home with a fever, one phone call from Sarah was all it took for Clara to drop everything and run to her side. Thinking about the good times we used to have felt like remembering a different lifetime. Life is short. The past is the past. No matter how beautiful it was, you have to fight for your own happiness. Since Clara was unwilling to be a real wife to me, why should I waste my life tethered to her? My family, the Hayes, had only had one son for 3 generations. We weren't billionaires, but the family business my grandfather built was substantial. If the family line ended with me, it would be a huge disrespect to my ancestors. After college, Clara and I had pooled our money, $1 million from our families, to start our company, Vance Hay Solutions. Over 3 years, our apparel company had grown into a national business, and we were now expanding into international markets. I handled the overseas operations. Clara managed the domestic side. At the company, she was the CEO, and I was the VP. We were clearing over $1 million in profit a year. If I divorced her now, the company would definitely be a point of contention. I knew that deliberately provoking Clara earlier would have consequences. I half expected her to retaliate by making life difficult for my key team members, a favorite tactic of hers. I took a walk through the sales department, but everything was peaceful. Everyone was working diligently. I was a little surprised. Had hell frozen over? She hadn't taken out all my people, but that just meant she was probably planning something else, some new drama to stir up. Whatever it was, I was ready for it. Honestly, I hoped she'd have an affair with some young stud. It would give me the perfect, undeniable reason to file for divorce. The thought was exhausting. I stayed at the office until, ignoring the flood of calls from Clara, and then headed downstairs to the Velvet Rope, a moody, upscale bar, to drink my frustrations away. I sat at the bar, nursing a whiskey sour the bartender mixed for me. On stage, a DJ spun a heavy beat, while dancers in crop tops moved sensuously to the rhythm. The bar was a kaleidoscope of neon lights and beautiful people, laughing in groups or paired off in intimate conversation. It was loud, alive, and dripping with money. And then there was me, alone. A bitter smile twisted my lips. I felt pathetic. Ever since I got together with Clara, especially after we got married, my world had revolved around her. I listened to everything she said. She didn't like me hanging out with my friends for drinks, so I stopped. She didn't like me talking to other women, So I cut off all contact with my female friends, even my childhood pal from next door. She hated smoking and drinking, so I quit both. She didn't even like me wearing bright colors, so I filled my closet with gray and black. I had given up so much for her, and in my past life, my reward was a gruesome death in a car crash. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I was deep in my brooding when my phone buzzed again. I glanced at the screen. Clara. I ignored it. She'd been calling me nonstop since o'clock. Missed calls. I had no desire to answer a single one. What's wrong? Fight with the wife? Hiding out in here drinking alone? I turned to see Lexi's bright, clear eyes looking at me. I nodded. Yeah. Then, a flicker of surprise. It's late. What are you doing here, Lexi? Looking impossibly cool in a black leather jacket, she slid onto the stool next to me and pouted. Her long, dark hair fell over her shoulders, her usually cheerful face clouded with annoyance. Ugh, don't even ask, she groaned. It's my parents. They're on my case about getting married again. I couldn't take it anymore, so I came here for a drink to clear my head. I can't believe I ran into you, Ethan. She grinned, her mood lifting instantly. Huh, I guess I came to the right place after all. She playfully punched my shoulder. So, you gonna buy a girl a drink? I smiled faintly. You're here alone this late. It's not safe for you to be drinking. I waved the bartender over. Let's get you a freshly squeezed watermelon juice. Lexi pouted again. Stingy. I tapped her on the forehead with my finger. Hey, you call me your big brother, so I have to be responsible for you. What if you get drunk and some creep decides to take you home? I don't want your actual big brother coming after me with a baseball bat. Lexi burst out laughing. Haha, you make him sound like a psycho. I shuddered, thinking of her brother, my best friend Leo. That guy was a protective sister maniac. I remember taking Lexi hunting in the woods when we were kids. I'd looked away for 1 second, and she'd tripped and gotten some dirt on her clothes. That was it. When Leo saw his precious sister looking a little disheveled, he chased me for miles with a stick. Come on, Ethan, please, just a little one. Lexi leaned in, shaking my arm and making a cute, pleading face. It was rare to see her act so girly. A wave of nostalgia washed over me. The little snot-nosed kid who used to follow me around everywhere was all grown up. When I didn't budge, she playfully leaned her head closer and closer to mine. I sighed and gently pushed her head away. Just then, a familiar voice cut through the noise from behind us. What do you two think you're doing? Clara, dressed in a stunning, form-fitting blue slip dress, was striding towards us. Ethan Hayes, I called you dozens of times, and you didn't answer a single call. Her voice trembled with rage. And now I see why. You're busy fooling around with some other woman. How could you do this to me? Tears welled in her eyes as she pointed an accusing finger at me. I looked up at her, my patience worn thin. Clara, what the hell are you talking about? This is my... Before the word friend or sister could leave my mouth, Lexi cut me off. Yeah, we're having an affair. What are you going to do about it? The feisty, hot-tempered Lexi was back. She stepped in front of Clara, all traces of her earlier playfulness gone. She looked Clara up and down with a condescending sneer. Besides a pretty face, you've got nothing. You don't deserve a man like Ethan, she smirked. Since you obviously don't appreciate him, why don't you just divorce him and give him to me? I happen to be crazy about him. The little troublemaker shot me a wink, as if to say, I'm getting back at her for you. You're welcome. Lexi's off-the-cuff lie gave me an instant headache. A small crowd of onlookers had already started to gather, eager for the drama. Clara's face was beet red, completely incensed by Lexi's words. I saw her clench her fists, her eyes locked on Lexi, looking like she was about to tear her apart, and a second later, she exploded. You bitch. You have no shame, trying to steal my husband in public. You're asking for it, aren't you, you little slut? You think you can steal my man? I'll kill you, you damn homewrecker. Lexi jumped back, unfazed and ready for a fight. Bring it on, old woman. We'll see who's left standing. Just as the two of them were about to start throwing punches, I jumped between them, pushing them apart. That's enough. I yelled. You're not embarrassed, but I am. Both of you stop it. They both turned to glare at me. Lexi cut it out. It's late. Go home before your brother Leo starts to worry. Ethan, this woman. Lexi, I said. That's enough. I cut her off sharply. Clara is your sister-in-law. You need to show her some respect. This is between my wife and me, and it doesn't concern you. It's late. Go home. My harsh tone finally got through to her. She shot Clara one last dagger-filled look and stormed out of the bar. I dropped a few bills on the counter to cover our drinks and walked out of the velvet rope, with Clara trailing silently behind me. We'd been married for 3 years, but Lexi had been studying abroad and had only recently returned. This was the first time they had ever met. I had no idea what had gotten into her tonight, why she decided to go head-to-head with Clara. I figured she must have been annoyed that Clara had jumped to conclusions without giving her a chance to explain. That had to be it. I'd been drinking, so I couldn't drive. I got into the passenger seat of Clara's car. The drive home was silent. Clara opened her mouth to speak several times, but I just leaned back against the headrest and closed my eyes, pretending to be asleep. Our penthouse was only a minute drive from the bar. When we got home, I had just kicked off my shoes in the foyer when Clara wrapped her arms around me from behind, pressing her face tightly against my back. "Ethan, I'm so sorry," she whispered, her voice thick with tears. "I couldn't reach you all night, and I panicked. I jumped to conclusions about you and Leo's sister." She sobbed quietly, holding me tight. So that was it. Back at the bar, she must have remembered that my best friend Leo had a sister named Lexi. That's why she had suddenly gone quiet and stood behind me without a word. She also knew me well enough to know that I was a traditional guy. I despised cheating. I was feet inches and reasonably handsome. Women hit on me all the time, but my response was always the same. I'd either tell them I was married or just give them the cold shoulder. I gently pried Clara's hands from my waist. "Clara, we need to talk." I walked over to the living room sofa and sat down. Clara followed and sat next to me. I looked at her, a hint of apology in my voice. "Clara, that was my fault earlier. I didn't get a chance to explain properly. Lexi had just gotten to the bar right before you did. Her parents are pressuring her to get married, and she was in a bad mood. That's why she was a bit rude to you. She has a short temper, but she doesn't mean any harm. Don't take it personally. To me, she's like a little sister, just like my own Emily. My younger sister Emily was years my junior." As I explained, I saw the tension in Clara's face melt away. The frown lines on her beautiful face smoothed out, and a smile bloomed. She gently rested her head on my shoulder. "Ethan, I trust you," she said softly. "Even if you hadn't explained, I would have trusted you. Anyone in the world could cheat, but not you. I know how much you love me." Her words were so ironic, they were almost funny. Trust me? If she really trusted me, she wouldn't have been ready to brawl with Lexi in the middle of a crowded bar. If I hadn't stepped in, they probably would have ended up in the emergency room. Sensing my mood was still low, Clara's voice became even gentler. "Honey, I called you so many times tonight, but you didn't answer." Her soft, delicate hands cupped my face as she looked at me with concern. "You've never ignored my calls before. Tell me what happened. Why were you drinking alone at a bar?" I stared into her flawless, stunning face, the face I had loved for long years. But thinking about my tragic end in my previous life, a wave of depression washed over me. Looking at her now, her beauty just didn't have the same effect. After a long silence, a sense of release washed over me. I smiled, a genuine, liberating smile, and said the words I'd been wanting to say ever since I came back. "Clara, let's get a divorce." Her face, which had been leaning closer to mine, froze. Her beautiful eyes widened in disbelief. Her voice trembled. "What? Ethan, what? You're joking, right? This is a joke. You love me more than anything. You could never leave me." Tears welled up in her eyes, but she fought them back, shaking my arm gently. "Clara, I'm sorry," I said, my voice steady. "My family line. Our family's been Ethan Hayes for 3 generations. I can't be the one to let the line die out. I can't selfishly deny my family an heir. So, I'm sorry, Clara. I've decided to divorce you. I need to find a woman who is willing to have children with me." Suddenly, Clara started laughing and crying at the same time. Her face became strangely calm. "Ethan, is that all you want? To have a baby? What's so hard about that? I know I was wrong before. I was immature, not letting you touch me. But I've thought it through. You're my husband. You're my man. You're the only person I have ever loved, and the only person I want to spend the rest of my life with. I'll have a baby with you. Come on, honey, let's go to the bedroom and make one right now." My eyes widened in disbelief. I was completely stunned, letting her pull me by the hand toward the bedroom. It wasn't until she pushed me onto the bed and started fumbling with my belt that I snapped out of it. I grabbed her hands, stopping her. "Clara, are you insane? I demanded, my voice filled with anger. You don't have to degrade yourself like this just to save our marriage. Her face was flushed, and she looked at me with a shy desperation. No, honey, I'm not. Before she could finish, her phone rang. We looked at each other. I gestured towards the phone. You should get that. It's probably your precious best friend calling with another emergency. Clara leaned down and planted a firm kiss on my lips. You just wait for me, honey, she purred. We'll continue this in a minute. I stared at her retreating back as if I'd just seen a ghost. Clara's behavior tonight was completely bizarre. Could my rebirth have triggered some kind of butterfly effect, causing this sudden, drastic change in her? As I lay on the bed, my mind racing, I heard Clara's voice from the other room rising in anger as she argued with the person on the phone. I quickly got up and went out to the living room to see who she was fighting with. Sarah, you have a stomachache. What the hell does that have to do with me? I'm not your mother. Let me warn you one last time. Sarah, as of today, you're no longer my best friend. If you live or die from now on, it's none of my business. Don't you ever call me again. If you dare to harass me again, don't blame me for what I do to you. You're disgusting. Hearing your voice makes me sick. Clara hung up the phone and continued to curse at the screen. Then she blocked Sarah's number. If it weren't for you, how could I have lost my beloved husband in my past life? Clara turned around, and our eyes met. Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. My jaw dropped. It took me a moment to find my voice. I pointed a trembling finger at her. Clara, you were reborn too, weren't you? Two streams of tears rolled down Clara's cheeks. I stood in the doorway of the bedroom, a strange mix of laughter and sobs escaping my lips. Ha ha ha. I'm such an idiot. I should have guessed from your strange behavior all night. Clara, since you were reborn too, you know exactly what happened in our last life. You stood me up. I was distracted while driving and got hit by a truck. I died, Clara. My premature death was your fault. So in this life, please, I'm begging you, just let me go. Let's get a divorce. You can go live happily ever after with your precious best friend Sarah. You two could be a perfect couple. No, she screamed, her voice filled with panic. I won't agree to a divorce. She rushed towards me and grabbed my hands, her grip desperate. Honey, please let me explain. In our last life, after we got to the airport, I immediately regretted it. I canceled my ticket and rushed home. But just as I opened the front door, I got a call from the police. The officer asked, "Are you Ethan Hayes' wife?" I said I was. He said, "Your husband was in a car accident on the South Loop. He didn't make it. The moment I heard you were gone, I fainted. Our neighbor had to revive me. After that, I was a wreck, but I managed to arrange your funeral with your parents. Sarah was so worried about me, she never left my side. I spent my days drowning myself in alcohol, and she drank with me. One night, when she wasn't looking, I snuck up to the roof of our story building. Just as I was about to jump, Sarah found me. She started sobbing and confessed everything to me." Clara's voice cracked. She was drunk, and she told me, "Clara, you may have lost Ethan, but you still have me. Clara, did you know, the first time I saw you, back in freshman year of college, I fell deeply in love with you? If that asshole Ethan hadn't swooped in and asked you out, you would have been my girlfriend. Do you know how hard I worked to get you? I made up so many lies to convince you not to sleep with him, and you listened to me every time. I was so happy. Finally, my efforts paid off. That bastard Ethan is dead." She was laughing and crying, talking to herself like a schizophrenic, her face twisted with a terrifying glee. She was so lost in her confession, she didn't even see the murderous rage in my eyes. And she looked at me with this lovesick expression, her voice suddenly gentle. "Clara, baby, come down. It's okay. From now on, no one will ever bother us again. We can finally be happy together. I promise I'll love you more than Ethan ever did. I'll treat you better. Trust me, I love you more than he did. Come on, give me your hand." A hot tear from Clara's eye fell onto my hand. She continued to explain through her sobs. After she confessed, all I could feel was this searing hatred. I wanted to cut her into 1,000 pieces. I couldn't breathe. I hated myself for being so stupid, for never once doubting her. If it weren't for her, if she hadn't manipulated me, hadn't lied to me, we would have been so happy in our last life. When we were deskmates in college, she saved me from 3 thugs behind the school one weekend. After that, I just thought of her as my best friend. I never, ever imagined she was in love with me, that she wanted me to be her girlfriend. She hid it so well. So, I smiled at her. I held out my hands. Sarah thought I was accepting her, and she reached for me without any suspicion. The moment she was close enough, I used all my strength to grab her and pull her over the edge with me. We both fell stories. We died instantly. I took a tissue from my pocket and gently wiped the tears from Clara's face. She looked at me, her eyes pleading. Honey, I'm so sorry. I was so stupid in our last life. I believed everything she said. She was always putting ideas in my head, telling me that if you could resist touching me for 7 years of marriage, then you must truly love me. She said I should wait until then to give myself to you, so you would cherish me forever. But her real goal was to make you so frustrated that you would be the one to divorce me. You know how it was for me, honey. My parents were always busy with their business, traveling all the time. I was alone so much. I grew up feeling so insecure, so desperate for love. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, the most loving husband in the world. But I couldn't stop second-guessing everything. I always listened to her, always put you through her twisted tests. I looked at Clara, my heart heavy, as she apologized over and over. A whirlwind of emotions churned inside me. I had never imagined that she would have died for me, that she would have taken the person who destroyed us down with her. Thinking about their fate in her last life, a lot of my resentment towards Clara began to fade. Ethan, I'm not asking you to forgive me right away, she pleaded. Just please don't divorce me. Give me a chance to make it right, a chance to make it up to you. I promise, from now on, you'll be my everything. Whatever you say goes. I won't have any more best friends. At home, at the office, you're in charge. Please, just give me one last chance. I never said it enough before, but I love you. I really, really love you. In my last life, I was a fool. I let her poison my mind. But I promise I won't be foolish anymore. I'll devote my entire life to loving you and our family. I sighed, a faint smile on my lips, and gently poked her on the nose. You said it, not me. We'll see how you do. It's late. Good night. Get some rest. I waved and turned to go back to my room. Okay, honey. I promise I'll do my best. You'll be very satisfied. Clara called after me, a hopeful smile spreading across her face. Now that we had cleared the air, she looked as if a huge weight had been lifted from her shoulders. Later that night, a huge clap of thunder shook the penthouse as a storm rolled in. Clara, quiet as a mouse, crept into my bed and curled up against me. Even after the storm passed, she refused to leave. I finally gave up trying to shoo her away and playfully threatened that if she didn't go back to her room, I'd take her right then and there. To my shock, she snuggled closer, pressing herself against me. I almost lost control. Time flew by. Days passed in a blur, and soon it was Clara's birthday again. That evening, after her birthday celebration, I was only halfway through cleaning the kitchen when she appeared. She had just showered and was wearing a sheer, ridiculously sexy nightgown. The sight of her nearly made me keel over. She stood barefoot, leaning seductively against the kitchen door frame. Her eyes dark and smoky met mine. Honey, she purred, am I beautiful? I couldn't take my eyes off her incredible body. Yeah, I managed to choke out, my voice thick. She fluttered her eyelashes. And do you want me? I swallowed hard, my throat suddenly dry. I wanted to say no, to hold on to my resolve, but my body betrayed me. Yes, I heard myself say. She glided towards me and gently untied my apron. The fresh, floral scent of jasmine from her shower enveloped me. A shiver ran down my spine, and a familiar heat pooled in my groin. She gently lifted my chin and planted a soft, teasing kiss on my lips. Then she leaned in, her breath warm against my ear. Honey, are you hungry for me? Haha. Then you'd better come and get me. With a final playful flick of her gown against my face, she turned and ran out of the kitchen, her bare feet silent on the floor. She paused at the doorway, looked back over her shoulder, and beckoned to me with a single finger. Her voice was pure seduction. Well, don't just stand there, honey. Come and catch me. Hee hee. If you catch me, I'm all yours tonight. You can do whatever you want with me. A slow, predatory smile spread across my face. All right, you said it. Don't you go regretting this later. My eyes raked over her. The sheer white negligee left little to the imagination, her perfect curves on full display. I couldn't hold back anymore. To hell with my plan to observe her, to make her wait, to not repeat the mistakes of the past. I loved this woman. I had dreamed of her, ached for her for years. Divorce or no divorce, even if the world ended tonight, I was going to make her mine. Like a starving wolf, I crossed the distance between us in 2 long strides, scooping her up into my arms. I carried her to the bedroom, tossed her onto my big bed, and followed her down, pinning her beneath me. Looking at her full, red lips, I couldn't wait another second. I crushed my mouth to hers, devouring her hungrily. It was just an ordinary night, but for us, with the merging of our hearts and our bodies, it was anything but. Time flew. Another 3 months passed in what felt like a blink of an eye. In those 3 months, Clara's performance was impeccable, so much so that it often felt surreal. She was true to her word. At home, at the office, she deferred to me in everything. In front of friends, in front of clients, she always gave me the utmost respect. She revolved around me, making me the center of her universe. To better take care of me, she even stepped down as CEO, content to be a homemaker, cooking and caring for me. Just as we were settling back into the bliss of our early dating days, an unwelcome ghost from our past resurfaced, Sarah. This was the time she had tried to contact Clara in the last 6 months. The weather was beautiful, perfect for a walk. We had just gotten back from visiting family for the holidays and hadn't had a chance to go out. I took Clara to the historic district in Lincoln Park for a stroll. We were halfway down a charming cobblestone street when Sarah blocked our path. Clara, long time no see. I've missed you so much. Sarah, tall and strikingly pretty in her own right, looked at Clara with a sick, obsessive longing, completely ignoring my presence. Clara's hand, intertwined with mine, tightened. She gave me a reassuring glance before turning to Sarah with a look of pure disgust. Sarah, what the hell is wrong with you? Why is it that everywhere I go, I run into you? You're like a piece of garbage I can't get rid of. If you're so desperate for a woman, go find someone else. My husband and I are very happy together. Stop harassing me. Stop disgusting us. Get as far away from me as you possibly can. The sight of you makes me sick. With that, Clara pulled me along, walking right past Sarah without a second glance. But Sarah wasn't done. Her eyes were fixated on our intertwined hands, a look of such pure hatred on her face. I thought she might actually try to chop off my hand. As we walked away, she suddenly screamed Clara's name. We both stopped and turned to look at her. I could feel Clara trembling with rage, her palms slick with sweat. Sarah looked like a mad woman, completely oblivious to the stares of the passers-by. Clara, why? She shrieked. We used to be so close. All it took was one phone call, and you would drop Ethan in a heartbeat to come to me. You love me. I know you did. If you didn't love me, why did you always take such good care of me whenever I was sick? It's his fault, she screamed, pointing a shaking finger at me. It's all because of this bastard. If it weren't for you, Clara would never have abandoned me. Sarah's finger was pointed directly at me, her eyes burning with a hatred so intense it was as if I had murdered her entire family. Clara, she sobbed, her voice cracking. If he died, would you come back to me? Could we go back to how things were before? Her sick, twisted logic sent a chill down my spine. The curious, amused looks from the people around us made my skin crawl. Clara was on the verge of tears, completely broken by Sarah's insane tirade. Honey, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault, she whispered, her voice choked with sobs. I kissed her on the forehead. It's okay, baby. It's not your fault. You wait here. I'll handle this psycho. My face was a dark mask of fury as I walked up to Sarah. Sarah, what the hell is wrong with you? Am I dead to you? I spat. You think if I die, my wife is going to run back to you, you delusional freak? Listen to me. Even if I were dead, my wife would never, ever be with a psycho like you. She was nice to you because she thought you were a friend. She had no idea you harbored these disgusting, twisted feelings for her. So why don't you crawl back to whatever hole you came from? You have harassed my wife again and again. You are seriously sick, Sarah. This is the last time I'm warning you. If you ever come near my wife again, I will make you regret it. You make me sick, I sneered, spitting on the ground near her feet. If you have any shred of dignity left, get the hell out of my sight now. The last word was a roar. In my past life, Sarah's manipulations had led to my death and Clara's suicide. Clara rushed to my side, gently rubbing my chest. Honey, please don't let this trash upset you. Don't ruin your health over her. I couldn't bear it if something happened to you. I pulled her into a tight embrace. Baby, it's because you're so beautiful that you attract these kinds of freaks. I don't care. You're gonna have to make it up to me when we get home. I teased her, trying to lighten the mood. A blush crept up her cheeks. She playfully punched my chest. Oh, you stop it. You're embarrassing me. People are watching. We were so wrapped up in our own world, teasing and comforting each other, that we didn't notice the look of pure, murderous rage on Sarah's face. Just as I leaned in to whisper something in Clara's ear, Sarah lunged. She had pulled a sharp dagger from the pocket of her trench coat. A vicious smile twisted her lips. Ethan, go to hell, she screamed, raising the dagger high. I looked up, frozen in shock, too slow to react. But Clara wasn't. She shoved me hard, pushing me out of the way as Sarah's arm came down. Sarah realized she was about to stab Clara, but her momentum was too great. She couldn't stop. The dagger plunged directly into Clara's left shoulder. Sarah screamed. Clara, oh my God, Clara. I didn't mean to. I was trying to kill Ethan. Why did you save him? Why? Why do you love him so much? Is he really that great? Is he worth dying for? Would I not have done that? Snapping out of my shock, I shoved the hysterical Sarah away from Clara. She stumbled and fell to the ground. I looked at the dagger embedded in Clara's shoulder. Thankfully, it didn't look too deep, but the blood soaking her white coat sent a wave of heart-stopping terror through me. Tears streamed down my face. I gently held Clara, my hands trembling uncontrollably. Baby, why were you so foolish? I sobbed. Hang on, okay? I'm taking you to the hospital right now. You're gonna be okay. I shot one last venomous glare at Sarah. Sarah, if anything happens to my wife, I will kill you. Sarah sat on the ground, dazed, staring at the dagger in Clara's shoulder. She was muttering to herself like a madwoman. I didn't mean it, Clara. I didn't mean it. You ran into it. It's not my fault. Wait, no, it is my fault. No, it's not. It's his fault. It's all Ethan's fault. Clara's beautiful face was growing paler by the second. Her white coat was now stained a deep crimson. She managed a weak, pained smile. Honey, I love you, she whispered. You're my life. As long as you're okay, that's all that matters. It's just a little scratch. Don't worry. And then she passed out in my arms. This woman, who was terrified of pain, who fainted at the sight of blood, had just summoned all her strength and courage to save my life. In that moment, I wanted to tear Sarah limb from limb. I scooped Clara into my arms and ran towards the nearest hospital, ignoring Sarah's frantic, wailing cries behind me. At the hospital, the doctors confirmed that the wound wasn't life-threatening. They gave Clara an anesthetic, removed the dagger, and stitched her up. She woke up shortly after. Seeing her awake, a wave of relief washed over me, and the tension that had been gripping me for the past hour finally began to recede. Baby, how do you feel? Does it still hurt? She gave me a warm, reassuring smile. I don't feel a thing, honey. Don't worry, I'm fine. She gently touched my face, her eyes filled with tenderness. You must have been so scared. This foolish, wonderful woman. She was the one who had been stabbed, and here she was comforting me. My eyes welled up with tears, and I couldn't stop myself from hugging her and crying like a baby. All the pain of my past life, all the resentment, it all felt like a distant dream. I didn't want to dwell on it, didn't want to blame her for anything anymore. I had my own faults. All I knew was that in this life, when it came down to it, she had chosen me. She hadn't just chosen me, she had been willing to die for me. If she hadn't pushed me, that knife could have easily pierced my heart. I could have died right there on that street. The woman I had loved for years was willing to risk her life for me. How could I ever think of leaving her? I would cherish this moment. I would cherish this woman. I would cherish the unwavering love we had found in this second chance at life. I knew with absolute certainty that we would be happy together, forever. After I took Clara to the hospital, some kind bystanders who had witnessed the attack called the police. Sarah was arrested near the scene. Unfortunately, when we went to the police station, we found out she wouldn't be facing any legal consequences. Her father had shown up with a psychiatric evaluation report. Apparently, Sarah had recently been diagnosed with intermittent explosive disorder. A person with a mental illness who cannot control their actions cannot be held legally responsible. She might have escaped the law, but she wasn't going to escape me. The debt from our past life, compounded by the stabbing, was one I intended to collect. Behind Clara's back, I pulled some strings. I made sure Sarah's illness got progressively worse. Soon enough, her family had no choice but to commit her to a psychiatric hospital. Every so often, I'd pay her a visit just to check on her progress. My visits seemed to exacerbate her condition. When I was too busy to go myself, I made sure the staff took good care of her. Brenda, I'd say, slipping a thick envelope into the hands of a large, burly nurse. I'm a bit swamped at work lately, so I can't visit my associate. I'll have to trouble you to take good care of her for me. Brenda, a woman who looked like she could bench press a car, would grin and pocket the cash. Don't you worry, Mr. Hayes. You can count on me. She'll get the best care. I'll make sure you're very satisfied. We'd share a look of mutual understanding. Sarah was never getting out of that place. She would spend the rest of her days in a fog of medication and misery. While Sarah languished in the asylum, Clara and I lived in a state of newlywed bliss. The woman who was once too afraid to let me touch her, ever since that fateful birthday, had become an insatiable, passionate lover. She was always surprising me with new, daring outfits, her only goal to seduce me. It was heaven. I already had no resistance to her. With her actively trying to please me, I was utterly captivated. We were perfect for each other, physically and spiritually. One look was all it took to ignite the spark between us again and again. We had planned to enjoy a few years of just the two of us, but a baby, or rather, babies, had other plans. Quintuplets. A year later, Clara gave birth to 4 boys and 1 girl. The Hayes family, with its 3 generations of single sons, had its legacy rewritten by me. Honey, help me. The twins just had a blowout. I'm coming. I'm coming. I had just finished changing the first 2 when I heard Clara's voice again. Ethan, I'm gonna lose my mind. Come save me. The baby just pooped on my hand. On my way. By the time we had all 5 babies settled, we collapsed on the floor, exhausted. We looked at each other and started to cry from a mixture of joy and pure exhaustion. This is so hard. Clara sobbed. Honey, maybe we should cancel our plan to do this by ourselves on weekends. Let's just let the nannies handle it. We can help out occasionally. My eyes lit up. I pulled her into a hug. Yes, that sounds like a great plan. Whatever you want, honey. You know, I think 4 nannies might not be enough. Maybe we should hire 2 more. Clara snuggled into my chest, nodding obediently. Okay, whatever you say. I felt a pang of sympathy for her. It had been 6 months since she'd given birth, and I hadn't touched her, not wanting to pressure her. But looking at her now, her face glowing, her body back to its stunning, curvaceous pre-pregnancy shape, I leaned in and whispered in her ear. Baby, it's been months since you got pregnant. I've been a very patient monk. Don't you think it's time you compensate me for my good behavior? Her face flushed a deep red. What she said next completely floored me. Let's go now to a hotel. Oh God, honey, I've missed you so much. I want you too. I was stunned for a second, then I grinned. We handed the kids over to the housekeeper and the nannies and practically sprinted to the nearest hotel. It was good to have the kids settled. It was even better to be back to our own happy, blissful, and very private life.